that Tiger will lead the design of a short course as part of our redevelopment of the Augusta Municipal Golf Course.
Augusta National just dropped a bombshell so massive that it's ripping through professional golf like a Category 5 hurricane. For 93 years, the Masters has been untouchable, a club that moves slower than continental drift, where even painting a bathroom takes a decade of committee meetings. But they just torched their own rulebook, stabbed the PGA Tour's fall season in the back, and handed golden tickets to 6 international tournaments that most American fans couldn't find on a map if their lives depended on it. PGA Tour pros are in full panic mode. Fall tournaments are hemorrhaging sponsors. The entire qualification system that's governed golf's most sacred event just got nuked from orbit. So what the hell just happened? Why would Augusta risk blowing up a system that's worked for nearly a century? And more importantly, who just got absolutely steamrolled by this seismic shift? Before we dive into the chaos, let me make something crystal clear. Augusta National doesn't do this. Ever. These aren't the kind of people who wake up one morning and decide to shake things up for the hell of it. This is a club that didn't admit its first black member until 1990. Women weren't allowed through the doors until 2012. When Augusta finally moves, it's not because they're feeling adventurous or progressive. It's because something enormous, something they can't ignore, is forcing their hand. And this 2026 announcement, this isn't some minor tweak to the invitation list. This is a complete demolition of everything golf has known for generations, and the fallout is already spreading through the sport like wildfire. Since 1933, Augusta National has protected its traditions with the intensity of a military operation guarding nuclear codes. The Masters isn't just a golf tournament, it's a religious experience. The green jacket ceremony, the ultra-exclusive invitation list, the course that looks like it was painted by angels. Every April, the same azaleas bloom in perfect timing, the same legends return to walk those hallowed fairways, and the same ironclad rules determine who gets to compete. For decades, even the tiniest modification has triggered massive debates among players, fans, and media. Major changes at Augusta are rarer than hole-in-ones on the 12th. And when they do happen, they reshape the entire sport. The most significant transformation came in the early 2000s, and it was all because of one man, Tiger Woods. Tiger didn't just dominate Augusta, he made the course look like a municipal track. He was hitting wedges into holes where other players were struggling with long irons. Something had to be done. Augusta's response was radical. They lengthened several holes, recontoured fairways, introduced new tee boxes, and fundamentally altered the strategic calculus of the course. The media called it tiger-proofing, but it was more than just adding yardage. It was about preserving the challenge, ensuring that Augusta remained a true test of golf's elite rather than a target practice range for one generational talent. That redesign set a crucial precedent. When Augusta makes significant changes, something fundamental is at stake. And right now, something absolutely fundamental is at stake. For generations, the Masters invitation process has followed the same careful, almost sacred pattern. The field has been assembled through a precise blend of PGA Tour performance metrics, world rankings, and a carefully controlled handful of international exemptions. Players built their entire careers around understanding this system. Agents scheduled years in advance based on these predictable pathways. The Masters gatekeepers have always favored the familiar over the experimental. They've built a fortress of tradition that's made the tournament one of the most revered events in all of sports. Change came in whispers, not shouts, which is exactly why the 2026 announcement feels like someone just detonated a bomb in the middle of Augusta's clubhouse. So here's what actually changed. And trust me, once you understand the full scope, you'll realize why this is causing absolute pandemonium across professional golf. The new Masters qualification system, taking effect for the 2026 tournament, completely rewrites the invitation rulebook from top to bottom. For the first time in the tournament's history, 6 National Open championships, the Scottish Open, Spanish Open, Japan Open, Hong Kong Open, Australian Open, and South African Open now serve as direct pathways to Augusta. Winners of these events will receive automatic invitations to the Masters. This is a privilege that was once reserved almost exclusively for players who triumphed in PGA Tour events or climbed into the stratosphere of the world rankings. That carefully controlled pipeline, it just got blown wide open. But here's where it gets brutal. Starting in 2026, only winners of full-point PGA Tour events and these 6 designated National Opens will see Augusta's gates swing wide. Everything else, downgraded, devalued, dismissed. The carnage is already piling up. Tournament directors for PGA Tour fall events are reporting drops of 10 to 20% in advance ticket sales since the announcement went public. At least one major fall event has already lost its lead, sponsor gone, just like that. Television ratings for fall tournaments slipped by 8% in late 2025, and that was before players started actively avoiding these events. Player agents are now steering their clients away from fall tournaments entirely, pushing them toward earlier season events or, increasingly, toward international campaigns where a single victory can now punch a ticket to Augusta. The old system is dying in real time, and nobody knows how to stop the bleeding. For professional golfers, the strategic calculus just shifted overnight in ways that most casual fans don't fully comprehend yet. Agents across the sport describe a total scramble to completely rework player schedules. Half the tour is now mapping out extensive international travel to Tokyo, Johannesburg, Sydney, and Edinburgh months, sometimes years in advance. One prominent agent, speaking anonymously, called it a seismic shift unlike anything we've seen in modern golf. The Masters pathway is no longer about steady points accumulation over a season or catching fire during the American fall swing. Instead, a single victory in Spain, Japan, or Australia can instantly launch a player from regional contender to global headliner with a Masters invitation in hand. The winners of this new system are obvious. International professionals and rising stars from outside the traditional American pipeline just gain direct access to golf's biggest stage. The casualties? Equally obvious. Journeyman pros and fringe PGA Tour players whose once reliable autumn lifeline to Masters qualification just evaporated completely. Within hours of Augusta's announcement, golf's social media channels absolutely exploded. Hashtags like MastersGate and OpenGate rocketed to the top of trending lists worldwide, with fans, players, and analysts weighing in from every corner of the globe. Some hailed Augusta's move as long overdue, calling it a necessary recognition of golf's truly global depth and talent pool. Others, especially loyalists to the PGA Tour's fall circuit, accused Augusta of betraying the very players who've kept the Masters pipeline alive during leaner years. Rory McIlroy, still riding high from his recent playoff performance at Augusta, waded into the controversy with a typically bold statement: "The world's best should have to prove it everywhere, not just in America." His words landed like a grenade in the middle of an already explosive debate, sparking fresh arguments over whether tradition or progress should govern the sport's future. Meanwhile, behind Augusta National's famous gates, the mood was reportedly tense. While official statements from the club stressed unity and careful deliberation, whispers from insiders painted a different picture. Several longtime members privately expressed serious concerns that the new pathway would dilute Augusta's distinctly American identity. But those worries were ultimately overruled by cold, hard numbers. The promise of surging international television ratings, expanded global sponsorship opportunities, and broader cultural relevance proved impossible to ignore. For players like Keita Nakajima, a 22-year-old rising star from Japan, the impact of this decision is deeply personal and potentially career-defining. Under the old qualification system, earning a Masters invitation would have required either a miracle run at a major championship or securing one of the extremely rare sponsor exemptions that Augusta hands out sparingly. With his world ranking hovering just outside the top 100, Nakajima's chances were essentially zero under the traditional pathway. Now, everything changed overnight. With the Japan Open winner guaranteed a spot at Augusta, Nakajima's October schedule carries entirely new weight. A single victory in his home country could transform his entire career in one weekend. But here's what almost nobody is talking about yet, and it's the single most important aspect of this entire situation. This isn't really about qualification criteria. It's not about international expansion for its own sake. This is about power. Raw, undiluted, sport-shaping power. For decades, the PGA Tour has essentially controlled access to golf's major championships through its point system, its schedule design, and its enormous institutional influence. If you wanted to play in the Masters, you played the PGA Tour's game. You followed their rules, competed in their events, and accepted their authority over your career trajectory. Augusta just shattered that stranglehold by opening direct pathways through International Opens tournaments that exist completely outside the PGA Tour's ecosystem. Augusta is sending an unmistakable message to the golf establishment. The PGA Tour doesn't own golf's future anymore. The world does. And that's precisely what makes this decision so explosive. Augusta isn't just tweaking the rules around the margins, they're fundamentally reshaping the entire professional golf ecosystem, deciding who gets opportunities, who builds sustainable careers, and which tours actually matter in the grand scheme of the sport. The PGA Tour's fall events just got demoted from major championship pipeline to afterthought in a single announcement. 6 international opens that most American fans have barely heard of just became career-defining battlegrounds where futures are made or broken in 72 holes. And every player, agent, sponsor, tour executive, and television network is now scrambling desperately to figure out what this means for their future in a sport that just got flipped completely upside down. Think about the ripple effects spreading outward from this decision. Tournament directors worldwide are completely rethinking their event positioning and sponsorship pitches. Equipment sponsors are recalculating endorsement values. Young players still in college are completely restructuring their career plans, targeting international opportunities rather than grinding through traditional American pathways. Television networks are renegotiating broadcast rights as viewership patterns shift. If the Japan Open now feeds directly into the Masters, Japanese television suddenly becomes exponentially more valuable. The global media landscape for professional golf just got redistricted. And perhaps most significantly, other major championships are watching this unfold with intense interest. If Augusta can successfully globalize its qualification system while maintaining its prestige, what's stopping the US Open? The Open Championship or the PGA Championship from following suit? Augusta didn't just change the rules. They potentially triggered a fundamental reimagining of how professional golf operates at its highest levels. Golf's oldest fortress has swung open its gates in a way nobody predicted. 6 continents now have direct pathways to Augusta National, transforming the Masters from an American-dominated event with international flavor to a genuinely global championship. National dreams that seemed impossible under the old system are now tantalizingly within reach. The Masters in 2026 will feature players who earned their invitations through pathways that didn't exist a year earlier. And every tee shot, every putt, every leaderboard position will echo far beyond Augusta National's perfectly manicured fairways. The question isn't whether this changes golf. The question is whether golf is ready for what comes next.